Sometimes you wake up and you just want to be like, yes, let's go, game on, and then you realise, my house is an absolute madhouse in the morning. We've got kids screaming through there playing football, don't know if you can hear them. My wife stood there thinking, what are they doing? I'm turning away from the camera because she's not done yet. Love you though. And I've got 2 farms to get to today. Look how good the extension is starting to look. Look, we've got a bathroom, we got everything, including a bedroom, a utility room, a gym with no equipment in it, 2 crazy children who aren't as tired as me, and this is the Hoof GP. Here's what's coming up in today's episode.
We find this stone embedded deeply in this cow's front right hoof, take a trip down memory lane and speak to Farmer Jim before finally looking at this ulcer, which is well on the road to recovery.
And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
It's nothing like finished yet, and yes, you're right, my house is crazy. Oh, look who this is. Morning, Craigie boy.
Good morning.
How are you?
Not bad. Tired.
Look at that fine figure of a man. Beautiful. Diet Coke. Look what is finally back. Ta-da! Old, not so faithful. It was away for ages because the screen was broken. They fixed the screen, it cost me £2,600 and doesn't work. Well, it kind of works, but it doesn't work. Anyway, she's back. I'm very glad about it because we only got to use the wrap like twice before it broke down. Today, we've got 2 different farms to get to. The first one is the first one. The second one is the second one. And they both have Holstein Friesian cows. We go there twice a week. No, we don't. We go there every 2 weeks. And they don't really have all that many problems, although the first one does, because turning out the parlour can be troublesome for the cows. So we're probably going to see a white line there, and at the second farm, because it's fairly new, we might see some thin soles. That's because the concrete's fresh and the cows wear out their feet a little quicker than we would like. Anyway, let's get this coffee down our necks, get the crush onto the back of the trailer because we were away buggying at the weekend and we need the crush back on, otherwise we can't work properly, obviously. Yeah, that's obvious. Anyway, let's go on. It's Craig's job every morning to load up the crush. But getting it on the trailer by yourself, especially when it's at an angle, is not the easiest trick in the world. You see, I do the hard bit, pushing the lever. Craig does the easy bit, steering it and pushing it here and there. I don't like him to struggle too much. It actually goes on really easily, to be honest. Toe it up there, the end or front of the trailer. Drop the wheels, or lift the wheels actually. Craig lifts the back door, the wheels come off. Crush goes back down, and the hooks hold it in place. And believe it or not, some people say it's fiddly to get the crush on and off. How long was that? Rewind then, play it back really, really fast, and we'll see how long that actually took. We can speed the timer up too, don't worry. So unfortunately, the time has come. It's been in the family all of 2 months, but the Wopa is for sale. That's right, we're getting rid of it. Not because we hate it or anything like that, because we definitely don't hate it, but it's definitely not a crush for the way we work. It is awesome, repeat, absolutely awesome at getting in to difficult farms and for moving around purely by yourself and for working by yourself. The remote control helps. Did have a small problem with the remote control that got sorted. Yeah, it's a lovely crush. If anybody wants to buy it, email me at thehoofgp@gmail.com if you want to buy it. It's for sale. ideally suit a farmer or somebody working by themselves. It's just not quite for us, but it is an amazing crush. Anyway, let's get to work and actually get some trimming done, otherwise cows won't be happy.
All joking aside, I really am glad to have the Ranger back under my bum, and it's only a short drive to this farm. Just like that, we are here. This is actually Gracie's farm, cow 812 for OG. OG, I never understand what OG means, because you've got original, but they're just letters, it's not like it's 2 words. Anyway, for original viewers, or viewers that are long-term to the channel, Gracie is cow 812, who had a very long and tumultuous story here. She actually ended up fully well, healed, and had babies, and she got sold off the farm. So I'll be honest, don't know where she is anymore. But her offspring live on, and they are here. One of them is called Lola, actually, and we still trim her to this day. Anyway, we are here, and we need some essential equipment, which every farmer absolutely needs. Otherwise, his day does not go very well, and Craigie Boy is just about to get it. This is where we get our stock of baler twine. Seems like a mundane task, but we really need that stuff. Many farms in the UK and actually around the world would literally just fall to pieces without that stuff. Bit like my house without BoviBond glue. I use it for all manner of things. It's a fine Scottish day. Believe it or not, I actually really appreciate the rain here in South West Scotland, because it wouldn't be as beautiful as it is without it. We wouldn't have the rivers and burns and streams and glens. We wouldn't have all the green lush grass and the huge trees everywhere. Anyway, our cows are ready and waiting. And just like that, we're all set up and ready to go. Because we're at this farm every 2 weeks, there are very few problems here, which allows us to book 2 farms in to one day.
You have to be quick. Come on.
Once we've rushed around and got the first cow into the crush, it's time to get our grind on. Whack out the grinder and the knives, stick some music on, and just fade away while we trim these awesome creatures' hooves.
We could run away. You and me together, baby, we don't gotta stay. Let's lose our minds. We could go crazy and leave it all behind.
Sometimes I find myself repeating myself, but those things that I repeat are generally really important for me to get across to you. And I can't tell you enough that what you're seeing right now represents 95% of the cows that we trim. The main focus of this channel is problems and how to get over them, and that is why you see so many of them.
Say what you feel.
Believe it or not, it may sound strange to say it, but these are the important trims, not the trims for the cows who are extremely lame. Yes, they're important too, but it's more important to future guard the safety and health and comfort of the cows in our treatment when we can. The cows just like this. Cow comfort is clearly something we're all about. When we're trimming these cows, it's important that we transition through them smoothly. As one cow leaves, the other one should come straight into the crush. And it helps massively when there's a cow standing behind me and she sees the first one leave.
And luckily, I have urinating while I'm trying to talk. Seriously, never work with animals or children, but children are usually fine actually. It's animals. But we do love them, don't we? But as I was saying, I have a Craig, so the next cow always waiting is no problem. Everybody should get a Craig, and if you would like one, subscribe now to get your free Craig. No returns though, sorry folks.
As we lift this next cow's hoof up, we can all clearly see that the outer or lateral claw is really overgrown. And it's actually overgrown because she has corkscrew claw. That's right, like a corkscrew for opening a wine bottle, her hoof is twisted, and that is something we need to do something about. The twist itself is uncomfortable, but the fact that it causes this overgrowth is causing there to be way too much weight on this digit, and that is no use.
This cow has a slight case of corkscrew claw, and that's why this foot is so overgrown and big and bulbous, and it will be causing her some degree of discomfort. I don't know if we would say she's actually lame or not. Probably not, actually, but she will be slightly uncomfortable, and that is no use. We're lowering the height of the whole heel so that this part here will take more weight and this part will take much less. That way it's kind of creating a natural block to give her some relief from the overburdening on this foot. Now it's not that great, as you can see there's a tiny bit of bruising in there, but like I say, with this bit of relief it won't be an issue. See, that could potentially have turned into an ulcer, but now no more. We do have a big ridge in here and that's not good. That's not a part we would normally trim on a cow. Look, see, the dirt does not matter. What matters is the functionality. You can clearly see how much higher this is than this part here, and that is a good thing.
Symmetry, symmetry, symmetry. Cows have a predisposition to have the same problems, or the same traits at least, on both back feet. And this cow is no different. She has the beginnings of corkscrew claw on her back left foot and her back right foot, which is why it's so important not to only concentrate on the problem claw.
As you can see, this foot has a similar problem, and you find that all the time. The feet mirror each other, and even if they don't quite mirror each other, if you have one problem, it's likely there will be a problem, even if it's not the same, on the opposite foot. Think about it logically. If you have one sore foot, you're going to favour the other one, aren't you? And whether or not that other foot does become completely sore, it's definitely far more likely to. And in cows' cases, it's exactly the same. If she's got a bit of discomfort, as we just talked about on her left foot, she's going to favour her back right foot. And that is what's happening here. So again, we've saved this part of the heel so that we can transfer most of our weight onto this part and alleviate the pressure and therefore the discomfort from that one. We're constantly changing little things about cows' feet, and we don't often show little things like this because, quite frankly, a lot of you guys don't find it quite as interesting as the more gory ones. Anyway, to this cow, this is seriously important. To her, her problem is more important than her problem, even if hers is far greater. Anyway, enough of the camera right now. I'm going to put you guys to the side and crack on with these cows, because we've got, quite literally, a shed load to get done.
I wanna close my eyes and go back, play it in my mind. A movie of us two, yeah, we were happy at the time. Can't remember what it felt like. We used to be so strong. That picture perfect sky now, it looks so grey and cold. We've been laying here since 4 a.m. and you haven't.
These cows are in 3 different lots. They're in different sheds according to the groups they're in, according to how much milk they're making, and according to maybe age or weight or how far they are down their gestation, as in other words, how close they are to pregnancy. So we're constantly working our way through these 3 groups and making sure we put them in the right place. Luckily for us, they really like it in their sheds with the rest of their herd mates, so it's never a bother getting them back.
Cows are just naturally incredibly inquisitive creatures. As they sniff their way through this unusual environment for them, they're either thinking,
"Ooh, what's that?" or "Ah, what's that?" Anyway, I'm going to put you guys away right now. Crack on with these cows, and if anything interesting crops up, don't worry, you'll be the first to know.
Silent treatment, is this what it feels feels like when your heart is aching, when it bleeds. If it's over, just say it out loud. Say those words, go away, just shout.
And just like that, this is a bit interesting. Maybe not for the cow because it's probably really hurting. But for us, it is. This cow wasn't particularly lame. But look, she's got a huge stone completely wedged inside her foot, which isn't actually supposed to be there. This happens from time to time. This cow is inside, so she's not walking on stony tracks or ground or anything like that. But sometimes, obviously, parts of the concrete chip off, or the silage, the food, fodder, whatever you want to call it, contain stones because they're picked up by the chopper, and then they end up in cows' feet like this. Clearly, we've already started trimming it, and I think it'll just pop out without any major effort. I say that, and then how would you like that to be stuck in your shoe? Go on, I dare you. Put something like that inside your trainer, sneaker, shoe, whatever you want to call it, and walk around with it for 5 minutes. Well, she's been walking around with that for the last few weeks by the look of it. It's created a proper hole, and we need to make sure that it's not going to have any lasting ramifications. Ramifications? That's a good word. Anyway, we'll get rid of the stone and finish the trim. Apparently I've got under my eyeball. Big bit or a wee bit?
Yeah, it's decent.
Decent. Still there?
Mostly away.
Oh, okay. So this foot is overgrown, and I'm hoping there's enough overgrowth to have incorporated that stone in here. Which sounds silly, but if there is, then there will be nothing wrong underneath. But if there's not enough overgrowth, this will have caused the problem. There's only one way to find out. So far, so good. Looks like the stone has been fully incorporated into her sole, and this is not causing any problems now. So it might seem really silly and an obvious observation, but sometimes the obvious can slip straight past us. Why, if the stone hasn't caused a lasting issue, was it causing an issue at all? Well, it comes down to density. Craig, for instance, is much more dense than I am. And the Sorry, I was trying to keep a straight face there, it didn't work. Compose yourself, Graham. And the stone is much more dense than the hoof horn, which means there's a real hard point. So every time she stepped, all of the weight of the pressure from that pinpoint of the stone, because it's so hard, is coming from the ground up through the stone and into her corium. And that is why it would be causing at least some pain for this cow. As it is, there's no lasting ramifications for this cow, and she is good to go. Lovely jubbly.
So in just a short few moments, that cow's levels of comfort have gone from 0 to hero. It's just slightly unfortunate the wind blew that gate round in her face.
Right, we've got about 20 more cows to do here, so we're going to get through these girls, get washed up, and get to farm number 2.
And as always, we push on with the day ahead, collecting the cows in from the pen above where our crush sits, when all of a sudden I notice a strange black car approaching out the corner of my eye.
Look who's arrived! This is HGP! Hello, what are you doing?
It maybe seems insignificant, but knowing someone's at home wondering how your day's going and caring brings me a massive sense of warmth.
That's what you call a good surprise. Won't do much for my belly, tummy, 6-pack in disguise.
Short breaks like this are massively important to our morale. Sometimes you're out there in the cold, wet and windy day, as I'm sure you can tell from the audio, and you just need a couple of seconds to reset to rethink and refocus. And luckily for us, Ashley has just provided us with this, along with an awesome bacon roll.
So, story time. We wash across every single time we leave any farm, always. And there's a reason for that. It's not actually probably what you think. Well, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. You see, years ago, I was at a farm, at Farmer Jim's farm actually, and Farmer Jim says to me,
Hey Graham, you can't yawn Gudgy if you're doing the road. Is he still fit bearing?
and I says, Jim, to be honest, I'm not sure who you mean.
You can yawn fella, the fella with the big stoot belly, him.
I says, Jim, no, I'm still not sure who you mean, to be honest. And he says,
He used to work for your father-in-law, do
I says, Jim, to be honest, I'm still not sure who you mean.
Yawn Gudgy with the pure monkey crush, I sits inside the rod.
And I says, right, yeah, I know exactly who you mean. Yeah, he is actually still trimming, to be honest. And what I take from that story is not the fact that Farmer Jim has an extremely strong accent, but never be the guy with the manky crush, ever. Having the pure manky machinery and being known for that isn't good. And that always rings in my memory or mind whenever I think, we'll maybe just not wash up as well today. I think, no, we'll wash up perfectly because I don't want to be the guy with the pure manky crush.
So it's 5 to 12, we have trimmed just under 40 cows I think, maybe not quite, and we are on our way to farm numero This is 10, this. We're on our way to our second farm. They'll probably have around 25 to 28, 27, somewhere around about there. And these cows, as I say, are in a fairly new setup and sometimes they suffer with thin soles. Now that I've said that, probably won't be the case obviously, but I'm sure we'll find something interesting. This is farm number 2. It's a robotic farm, so the cows are milked by robots. Not those wee beep boop 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 type robots, big robots. And that's why we're able to come to it just now. A lot of the time we will visit farms who milk by hand, and that means that we're really stuck. We need to go between the milking times because obviously all the cows are busy milking otherwise. Here we can come anytime we like, which is really handy for our schedule because it means we can fit them in round about everyone else. It's a nice place this too. When we get to this farm, everything's familiar. We're completely at home here. We set up every 2 weeks, and just like 2 weeks ago, we set up again, and we start trimming these magnificent creatures. This farm is only a couple of years old, and they really have set out correctly. They've started as they mean to go on, and for us as hoof trimmers, that is fantastic. They've listened to everything we've given them. They've taken it on board and they've decided which way to go. And I'm really happy to say that that way and that direction is absolutely perfect for all of the cows' feet concerned. Even although they're doing everything correctly and everything they possibly can, things can still go wrong.
This is seriously overworn. When we press it, there's movement. That's just 2 or 3 pounds of pressure. Imagine the whole pressure of the cow on it.
Thin soles don't sound like a really serious problem, but trust me, they can be unbelievably painful for the cow concerned. But why do they happen? Well, there are actually a few reasons it could happen. One is human error. Over trimming can be a massive problem, so if somebody had trimmed this cow before and her feet had gone thin, that would be a serious issue. That's not the case though here. Fresh concrete is what's to blame.
This is pigmentation, not bruising. This is the problem. Putting a block on it will allow this to regrow and thicken up, and hopefully not become a huge issue.
When fresh concrete is first laid, it's not laid entirely smooth. It has a rough edge to it, and unfortunately for these cows, that rough edge can be sharp and unbelievably wearing on their feet, which causes issues like this, and can and does sometimes lead to serious white line abscesses. Thankfully for this cow, that's not the case. So this will be a one fix wonder with the aid of a BoviBond block, a little BoviBond glue, and 30 or 40 seconds.
And this is exactly the same. Do you need a rubber block, please, Craig? Yeah.
Remember earlier in the video when we were talking about symmetry and how most of the time cows' feet mirror each other? Well, here is proof of the pudding.
She will never know, na, na, never know, na, na. It's like she stole my heart without knowing she did. But I guess that it will pass. Yeah, I can't be the only one who got lost inside the blue of those eyes. I've gotta let her go. I know it won't be easy. I wanna hold her close.
This cow's got previous problems on both back feet. This cow's been in before with a white line problem on this foot and a sole ulcer on the other foot, and it's looking pretty good. You can clearly see where it's all been pared away last time. It looks like there's been a lot of blood because it's so yellow. That's the serum from the blood seeping into the hoof horn itself, and we won't know if it's fully healed until we get the grinder out.
Obviously on first inspection, this hoof looks pretty good. It looks like it's healed, but you never truly know until you've trimmed back all of the cracks and black edges around where the lesion once was, or still is. There's a crack in the white line, so I'm chasing it up, following it to its full extent with my knife. At this point, I genuinely have no idea how far this crack extends. I don't know if it's just about to burst out in an abscess or if it's going to come to a complete end. Obviously, I'm hoping for the latter.
This cow isn't lame at all. That tells me this is healed. But I don't want these problems to come back, so I'm removing this loose horn to reduce the likelihoods of it ever causing a real problem again. Just a little bit of dirt in there, that's it. Beautiful. This hoof definitely hasn't healed though. We put a double block on this the last time that we trimmed it to get it right up off the ground to allow it to dry out and hopefully create a better dry environment for that hoof ulcer. Hoof ulcer? Sole ulcer to heal, but it's not quite there yet. Clearly this has been much worse. For me to remove this amount of hoof horn from an ulcer is quite a rare thing actually, but it's still there right at the heart of where the ulcer has begun. This is healing, but it needs our help to complete the process. And I would imagine digital dermatitis is playing a bit of a part here. The exposed corium is just too big an opportunity for bacteria to ignore, and it clings on to that exposed tissue right here, infects it and makes it worse. In this case, it's actually looking fairly good. But if we don't do something about it right now, it will regress and ultimately the ulcer will not fully heal. Actually a little white line problem there as well, look. That's why farmers like the guys here are so good at representing these cows to us. A lot of time a farmer might not present this cow back to you because she's not lame, as I told you earlier, but it's kind of a fallacy because these blocks are acting like crutches, alleviating the pain. This is the ulcer, that's the actual corium you can see, so that part should be growing hoof horn. But because it's being attacked by digital dermatitis right now, it's unable to do its job. This repoderma will kill the bacteria and spirochetes that are within that lesion and allow this to heal up. There's not much to see here. We see cows like this all the time that have had serious problems and they're just getting over them, and they need that little extra visit, even if they're not lame, to fully heal. She's walking totally fine. She's taking her time, but she is walking well. And with this very last cow getting trimmed up, who just needs a little bit of TLC on the ulcer on this front right foot. That brings us to the end of a very long but very productive day. Today we've trimmed over 70 cows, and that's a pretty regular day for us. We always finish the day off by cleaning everything as much as we possibly can, just like we did between farms. It is so important for us not to be that pure manky guy with a dirty crush. It's untrue. It just looks terrible professionally. Plus, biosecurity. We need to make sure that we are not transferring any diseases or dirt between farms, because that would be an absolute tragedy for the farmers involved. And with that said, it brings us to the end of this video and the end of the Hoof GP for now. Guys, make sure you've subscribed and keep growing this amazing community that we like to call the herd. For now though, we'll catch you on the next version of the Hoof GP. If you haven't already done it, click the link at the top of the description below to check out the merch, because once it's gone, it's gone. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later.